My title says it, guys. Hey, guys, this is AWO here, Aaron Warner, bringing you uh this my first live stream called Wrestling Rivals. If you're into wrestling, this is about rivalries in the past between superstars, whether it's female or male. And the first episode is gonna be based on Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock from the Attitude Era. The two of the most electrifying, the two of the most popular mainstream stars of the Attitude Era from WWE. But first, before we get into that, things to talk about. If you're new to this channel, like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell for when things go up, like reviews and for reviews on the wrestling, whatever. For streams and videos, I do wrestling reviews. I report on wrestling news. News is called a SmackDown Hotel. I have done 3 episodes. Those are going to be based on wrestling news. I have done an AEW Dynamite review from this past Wednesday, a SmackDown review this past Friday, and I'm maybe doing a Raw review, but that might be hard to do a 3-hour review in 10 minutes. And Raw is hard to to get by. But yeah, it's and later this week, I'll be doing a prediction show for the upcoming pay-per-view, WWE pay-per-view WrestleMania Backlash, which happens this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern. When it goes on the pre-show. Yeah, but this is Wrestling Rivals. Talk about Stone Cold and The Rock. Also, I'm making another channel, but I'm going to talk about that later on. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. And if some of the people that are subscribed to me, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, the actor. And I think you all know who the Stone Cold Steve Austin is. Even if you're not into wrestling, you all know who Stone Cold is. But yeah. So, what I want you to do is sit back, enjoy the show, and relax, man. Just relax. We're talking about Austin and The Rock. And just a minute, I gotta, just if they want to come, and I'll invite people on. I just. All right, that's all I need to do. All right, let's get on with the show, guys. So let me get my headset. My trusty headset. And there are pictures. There will be pictures. Invitations are being sent out. I just want to test something right now. Here's a little fun. Here's a little fun.
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
There we go. Okay, yeah. So I have a little fun for you guys. But yes, invitations are going out. Just a minute. There we go. Invitations are out. So, okay. We're getting this show right now. Okay. Yeah. Austin and The Rock. What can we say? Texas Rattlesnake in the Great One. Attitude Era. About 97 to about 2003, these two have been battling out with each other to for top of the WWE. Who and this yeah, so let's get on with this. The rivalry between the top WWE superstars of the Attitude Era, The Rock and Stone Cold. Okay, so let's start in '96. Stone Cold Steve Austin came into WWE as the ringmaster, managed by Ted DiBiase, the Million Dollar Man. His finisher was what? His finisher was the Million Dollar Dream, a submission move, puts his opponents to sleep. Fortunately, that gimmick didn't work. He won the Kingdom Ring in '96 by defeating Jake the Snake Roberts in the main event. And obviously had that famous line being interviewed. Well, Austin 316 says, "I just whooped your ass." And the birth for Stone Cold Steve Austin was born. The next day on Raw, there was Austin 316 signs. Austin got over. He was a heel, but got over based on that one promo came in the ring, and that's the birth of Stone Cold Steve Austin, King of the Ring '96. And throughout '96, he's been in rivalries. Specifically, started one with Bret Hart, and Survivor. They had the first match of Survivor Series '96. But on the same day, the opening card, a traditional Survivor Series match, 5-on-5 or 4-on-4, whatever, there was an up and comer who made his wrestling WWE debut, and that was Rocky Maivia, The Rock. His first name was after his father, who was Rocky Johnson. His last name, Maivia, was under his grandfather, who was Peter Chief Maivia. So they combined the two, make him become Rocky Maivia, and he debuted at Survivor Series. And after that, they were pushing him, but people didn't get behind him. The fans weren't behind him. They didn't like superstars being pushed down their throats at the time. But during this time, Austin was on the rise. On the rise, he had an incredible match with Bret Hart at Survivor Series, but it wasn't over there. Wasn't over there. Come to World Rumble season '97. Austin was eliminated, but no ref saw him, so he came back in the Royal Rumble, eliminated Bret Hart, and Austin supposedly won the Royal Rumble. And technically, if you win the Rumble, you get a title match at WrestleMania. But since there were shenanigans and there's a lot of things that got involved in that match, Austin didn't get his title match, and the title match at WrestleMania was Psycho Sid versus Undertaker. But instead, Austin continued his feud with the Bret Hart in first at WrestleMania, and this is where if his double turn happened between Bret Hart and Austin. Bret Hart was going as a babyface, and Stone Cold Steve Austin was going as a heel. And while this is going on, The Rock was being pushed. He became Intercontinental Champion, but nobody was behind him. And then he was away for a little bit after that. He comes back in the summertime. We'll get to that. Well, WrestleMania during the double turn, Austin passed out to Bret Hart in the sharpshooter, blood all over. If you remember that infamous match, you remember Austin passing out with blood all over to the sharpshooter, and Bret Hart wouldn't let up. That's until Shamrock, who was a special guest referee enforcer, got involved and slammed Bret Hart off of Austin. And that's when the double turn happened. Austin became a baby face then, and Bret Hart turned heel, and he formed a Hart Foundation faction. Well, in the meantime, The Rock was floundering as a babyface. People were not behind him. They're just more behind him. They don't like people being pushed to the moon, force pushed, stuff. He had a good look. Like Rock didn't look that good anyway, like at the beginning. So in the summer of '97, there was a group called Nation Domination, which was formed in '96, led by Farouk Juan Simmons at the time. During a match, The Rock was special referee. Rock bombed Farouk's opponent, and Farouk got the win. 1, 2, 3. That's when The Rock joined the Nation Domination. The Rock joined the Nation Domination, so he would be under the leadership and tutelage of Farouk, where he could learn under Juan Simmons. Because outside the ring, Juan Simmons is also a leader, someone who could show the young talent around how to behave, how to look professional, how to act a certain way, And that's what Farouk or Juan Simmons was there for The Rock. Because he knew The Rock was the future. He knew The Rock was the future of WWE. But he needed guidance. And he took it upon Vince McMahon asked him, and he accepted that. He accepted the leadership, accepted the role to take The Rock under his guidance. To show him around, to act, like I said, professionally in and out of the ring. What to do and what not to do. Like a true leader. Well, The Rock wasn't Farouk, and this is the time when Rock was starting to have his promos. His promos, I feel like this is where his creativity came out with his promos. That famous line is said, I might paraphrase it. He said, "Every time I come here, I hear the chants, die, Rocky, die. That's the gratitude I get for entertaining you pieces of crap." And that's when his promos, he started to see his personality, especially in his promos. He started to wear those like so-called $5,000 shirts, sunglasses, and he became Intercontinental Champion. And while this was happening, Austin was in a feud with Owen Hart, and at SummerSlam '97, unfortunately, the botched pile driver, Austin won the IC title, but he was hurt, injured his neck, and he couldn't wrestle for some while because of his neck. But he had to give up the IC title, which The Rock won. Rock and Maivia won. And so, but The Rock did enter, and this is where I see title The Rock and Austin. This is where Rock and Austin first crossed paths, and what will lead down to them becoming the two biggest stars later on in the Attitude Era. Well, Austin was ready there. Austin was ahead of The Rock. Austin wasn't heavyweight champion yet, but he was still ahead of The Rock in terms of popularity. The Rock was getting there. It wouldn't be till late '98 for The Rock to be sharing the spotlight with Austin. Austin got there earlier. And so, what was going to The Rock came in the feud with The Rock started becoming his own ego in the nation domination, started to believe himself, started to believe the leader, and started to, disrespect Farouk. And Farouk didn't like that because he's a leader. And it got to a point where The Rock and the nation turned on Farouk in early '98. I think that was the right call because The Rock was ready to be a leader and a single star. And he entered a feud with Ken Shamrock at WrestleMania. Well, at this time, Austin, he was entering the world title picture. He won the Royal Rumble '98 2 years in a row to face Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, who was a WWE champion. And Shawn Michaels had a casket match with Undertaker where he injured his back by being back body drop over the rope onto the he was supposed to miss the casket, but his lower back hit the casket, and that derailed his career after WrestleMania for 4 years. He came later back in WWE 4 years later, 2002, not 22. But that's Shawn Michaels. But Shawn Michaels stayed on for 2 more years in pain so he could wrestle Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. He didn't want to because Shawn Michaels was a troublemaker backstage. He was a problem backstage. But he didn't want to, but he had no choice. And so Austin defeated Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania '98. The Rock, I'm not sure, did The Rock beat Shamrock in '98? I don't know, I don't remember. So Austin was champion. The Rock was champion, and the DX, led by now Triple H, had New Age Outlaws and X-Pac join after Shawn Michaels was forced to go home and basically be out of WWE for 4 years, well, wrestling wise. Wrestling wise. So DX started a feud with the Nation, specifically The Rock and Triple H. Now this also led to, Triple H his stardom rising too. He was later in The Rock and Austin, but this is not about Triple H. This is about Rock and Austin. SummerSlam '98. The Rock and Triple H had an IC title match, which The Rock lost. And shortly after that, the Nation domination kind of dissolved, and The Rock became a single star, and he turned babyface for a little bit. The fans were behind him, and he became a babyface. Well, this time, Austin was champion. He defeated Undertaker at SummerSlam to retain the title, but then he got continued to feud with Undertaker, but Kane got involved, and there was times where Kane and Undertaker double pinned Austin Unforgiven or the pay-per-view after, and nobody knew who the champion was. And the thing is, Survivor Series came along. The Rock was a babyface, and Vince McMahon had early showings of the corporation. A big boss man. He was back at Mick Foley, Mankind. Yes, Shane. It was the early formation of the Nation. Shamrock turned heel, and they're like Austin. Vince McMahon was going after The Rock because The Rock was a babyface this time in late '98. Late '98 in Survivor Series, the main event happened for the title because the title was vacant for the World Heavyweight Championship, WWE Championship, between Mankind and The Rock. As you know, the end of the match, Rock had Mick Foley and Mankind in the sharpshooter, and Vince McMahon told the ref into the ring to call it off, kind of like basically parodying the Montreal Screwjob from the year before. The Montreal Screwjob, whether it's fake or real, whenever you believe it's real or fake, this is obviously fake. This is obviously fake. And that's when The Rock, in his first time in his career, became heavyweight champion, WWE champion, at as Survivor Series 1998. And then while Austin was still the top star, Rock was up there, became champion. He had a feud with Mick Foley, then Rock Bottom pay-per-view. Austin was still in the feud with Undertaker, beat Undertaker at Rock Bottom. that was done with. So Rock and Austin, Rock wrestled McFoley at the I Quit match at Royal Rumble, which Rock won the title back from McFoley. And Austin was in a Royal Rumble match. He lost the Royal Rumble in 99, which McMahon won, right? But Austin was given a chance to face Vince McMahon at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, the pay-per-view the one-time St. Valentine's Day Massacre pay-per-view in February of 99. And The Rock was facing Mankind in a last man standing match because Mick Foley became champion again after defeating The Rock at Halftime Heat during the Super Bowl of 1999. So there was kind of Rock and Mankind were kind of hot potatoing the title, late 98, early 99. But it was all planned to set up WrestleMania 15 for The Rock to face Austin. And so The Rock at St. Valentine's Day Massacre won the cage match. He didn't climb out, he didn't pin. What happened was Big Show, formerly of the Giant of WCW, who left WCW early 99, January 99, signed with WWE and made his debut as coming through the ring in St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and he threw Austin against the cage, and the cage broke, and that's how Austin won the match. So next day on Raw, there was a ladder match between not the Big Show, but between Mick Foley and The Rock, Mankind and The Rock, and it was a ladder match. So what happened was Mick Foley was close, Mankind was close, but Big Show got involved, cost Mankind the title, and The Rock became champion. And after that, Mankind never became champion for a while, and the road to WrestleMania between The Rock and Austin began. In WrestleMania 15, we had Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Mick Foley, Mankind, and Big Show had a match earlier to determine who was a special guest referee. Mankind won, but he was so badly hurt that he didn't become the referee during the match early on, begin the match. So, the match was going on. I got pictures. This is it. WrestleMania 15, 99. And this is when Austin defeated The Rock to become WWE champion. This is the first of the 3 WrestleMania matches that The Rock and Austin would have with each other throughout 99 to 2003. So, yeah. And after that, The Rock was still in the corporation. The corporation was very well formed at this time. They had Triple H turn his back on DX at WrestleMania, so Triple H joined the corporation. Big Boss was around, China was around. And there's some guys who left, like Tess, Shamrock. Big Show eventually turned on the corporation. So Backlash 99, which was a very good match, The Rock and Austin had Rock had a rematch against Austin. Austin won this match. And then from there on out, The Rock and Austin didn't really feud for each other for the rest of 99. He did have a title match, a Survivor Series, a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. Championship. That was supposed to be the Survivor Series, Triple H versus The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the title, right? But what happened was Austin suffered from this neck injury, real life neck injury. They ran an angle where he'd be taken out with the car, being run over by a car. Somebody's driving the car, and we'll get to later to that because if you watch wrestling back then, you know who ran over Stone Cold. But Big Show took his place, and then let's fast forward to Backlash 2000. The Rock and Triple H were scheduled to have a match at Backlash 2000 because Triple H was champion at the time. Linda announced that Stone Cold was going to be back and be in The Rock's corner. Very ironic, Stone Cold in The Rock's corner. So what happened was that match did happen. As the match was going on, shenanigans got involved. The McMahon Helmsley, faction is DX / McMahon's. We're getting all involved. And then you hear the Stone Cold Steve Austin's music hit. Steve Austin came in, beat up Vince, did what he did, helped Rock become champion, and The Rock became champion. But we didn't see Stone Cold after that for about a few more months. when he was ready to come back fully cleared. And about, I don't know, August, September, around there. Fuck, man. My computer went off. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so later, about August, September 2000, 2000, yeah, that's when Austin came back. McFoley was the GM or commissioner at the time. Whatever, same thing. Basically the same role. And so what happened was to get to the bottom line of who ran over Stone Cold. As you later on found out, Rikishi, The Rock's cousin, went over Stone Cold, and his reason he did it for The Rock. Obviously, Rock didn't need his help, and Rock and Rikishi had a feud. And Stone Cold now knows, but it was Triple H. It turns out it was Triple H who paid Rikishi, who paid Rikishi to take out Stone Cold. The, and then later on. Austin won the Royal Rumble again in 2001. Third time, technically, I guess. And what happened? So, and The Rock at the time was the champion. No, he became champion later on. I think Angle was the champion, and The Rock beat Angle at the pay-per-view at No Way Out in February to become champion. And then once again, Rock and Austin was destined for champion to face each other at WrestleMania 17 in Houston, Texas, Austin's home state. And where's that match happen? As you see here. Here we go. This is WrestleMania 17. And it was a great match, I can tell you that. But a lot of people did not like the ending. That's because when Austin turned heel, joined forces with Vince McMahon. Yeah, Austin made a deal with the devil. And you see this. You just become champion. A sight you would think you would never ever seen ever in wrestling. Austin joined forces with McMahon, joining forces with the devil. Austin turned heel. Probably one of the worst moves ever. And Austin admittedly admits that that's probably not the right, probably one of the worst things he's ever done in WWE. That and locking out in 2020, in 2002. Probably one of the worst things he's ever admittedly done. And it was one of the worst things. What happened was The Rock after that went away from, I think he was filming Scorpion King. Remember, he was in The Mummy Returns. But The Rock was away for a while. He came back in August, became WCW champion by beating Booker T, because Austin became the leader of the WCW ECW alliance. If you don't know, WCW and ECW went out of business, and WWE bought them. And they had a storyline idea where WCW and ECW would join forces to try to take out WWE. The Rock, yeah, and that nobody liked that alliance because nobody liked it was going on because they didn't have the big name stars from, especially from WWE. They didn't have the Hogan, Nash, Hall, Goldberg, Sting, but they did have DDP. The big name stars. DDP and Booker T were the biggest names. I think DDP was a big star. Booker T was so. But yeah, and so Survivor Series 2002, 2001, WCW and ECW versus WWE, and the finals two eliminations were Austin and The Rock, where Rock finally put away Austin to end the alliance. After that, Austin became a babyface again. And then The Rock and Austin wouldn't get involved with each other for a while. The Rock would get involved with Hogan. Austin would get involved with Scott Hall. And then Austin, late in 2020, late in 2002, basically walked away from WWE because he didn't like the direction his character he was going. He didn't like the ideas. He didn't think Austin versus Brock Lesnar should have been a match on Raw. I kind of agree. I think a match of that magnitude should have been a Raw match because they're building up Brock Lesnar to be the next big thing, right? And Brock Lesnar was the next big thing. Was to be the next monster in WWE. So I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. And The Rock, he lost the title to Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, and The Rock went away. So two of the biggest stars went away in 2002, summer 2002 to early 2003. And this is at a point where Austin only could do so much little because he had his point to his neck. He couldn't do much because of his neck. And The Rock came back as a heel, Hollywood Rock. And Austin, he had one match left in his, and Rock and Austin would face each other at WrestleMania, and this is the Rock Austin's last match ever. I mean, I guess the Kevin Owens would be his last match, but before that, Rock and Austin WrestleMania 19, I guess, is 19, would be his last match. And well, so Rock was the heel again. Austin was a babyface as always. Smart move. And Hollywood Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold's last match. Rock finally gets the win at over Stone Cold at WrestleMania 19. Austin's defeated him. Past WrestleMania has beat him twice. But this time Rock gets the win. And Mr. Austin's last match, and Rock immediately in an interview said he whispered to Stone Cold that, "Man, I love you for this. Basically, I love you." And Austin didn't want anybody else but The Rock to be his last match. And Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, The Rock felt so respected for that, for so felt so gracious for being the one to be the being honored to be in Austin's last match ever. Well, before the Kevin Owens thing, but and after Austin became the commissioner, The Rock went away for a while, for a long time. But yeah, pretty much from 98 to 2003, these two are the biggest stars ever. The Rock now is a mega star in Hollywood. I think a lot of people might not even remember that, might not even remember or don't know that he was a wrestler at one point. Now he seems a Hollywood star starting his Black Adam. Stone Cold has been he has been in movies, but not to the success of The Rock. But he's been in some movies you recognize, like Condemned, Grown Ups 2, and some other things. I think he was in Longest Yard, the remake. And Stone Cold has a podcast. He has the Broken Skull Sessions on WWE Network. If you like wrestling, he interviews wrestlers and talks about the wrestling business with them, and how their life growing up, and how they got into business, stuff like that. He came back at WrestleMania. That was in Arlington this year. Looked good against Kevin Owens. Got the win. Looked good. The Rock. Let's see. I mean, do I want to see Rock versus cousin Reigns? Sorry. Oh hell yeah, I do. But doesn't he be for your title match? No, because Rock won't win that match because he's more of a movie star now. You don't need to put a title. And yeah, I mean, like I watched wrestling. I still watch wrestling, but these like there's nobody in the wrestling industry or nothing like in the wrestling industry during the Attitude Days, during WCW and WWE, during those days. And there's nobody like Austin The Rock. I mean, Cena's the closest, but there's nobody right now like these two generational talent. Cena's a generational talent, but there's nobody right now is like these megastars. Cena's the only one that's a megastar, but nobody right now is a megastar like these two. You have to watch like who got like I like the, when I watched wrestling back in those days. You go to people went to school with the wrestling shirts, with the 316 shirt, the Brahma Bull shirt, DX, and yeah, you get in trouble because those shirts are not you know proper, man, like the profanity and stuff like that. But these days you don't see people wearing wrestling shirts out in public. No, you see wearing sports shirts, sports teams, or maybe pop culture stuff, but not wrestling shirts. The only time you see people wearing wrestling shirts is at wrestling events these days. If I go to a live event or a Raw, SmackDown, whatever, I'll see people wearing wrestling shirts. But now nobody wears wrestling shirts out in public. But during these days, when these two were on top, oh yeah. Not just that, man. NWO shirts too from WCW. There's gonna be These two meaning I still watch the matches on the network. I have the WWE network. If you have the network, if you have Peacock or whatever your service has, suggest you watch these matches. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this show, man. Thank you all for listening, guys. Wrestling Rivals, episode 1, Rock and Stone Cold. I'm gonna be doing more of these. You're gonna be seeing Sting and Hogan from WCW, Hogan and Savage from WWE, Trish and Lita, Austin Vince, Hogan Andre, Tasha Banks and Charlotte Flair. A lot more rivalries. And you're gonna be seeing a lot of things. The SmackDown Hotel, 3 episodes of that. It is based on news and opinions. They're not long episodes. The longest is about 10 minutes. Sometimes I might do a stream of that. Every 3 episodes, one to Rousey, Alexa Bliss, and the releases. I do reviews. I did a Dynamite review, SmackDown review. I might do a Raw review tonight. I don't know. Raw is hard to do. I want to try to do these reviews in 10 minutes. It's a 3-hour show, and you have to spoil it, so it's hard. It's not like reviewing a 3-hour movie and doing non-spoilers. You can get away with that. But for wrestling, you might have to spoil it, and it's going to be longer. It's going to be harder. Also, we got other shows. We're going to be looking at watch-alongs. We're also going to be going over reactions. We're going to react to videos. We're also going to be looking back at matches and past shows from the network, past Raw, SmackDowns, past pay-per-views, or just matches from the past. For example, Ricky Steamboat and Savage from WrestleMania 3. We might look at that and go over it. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. Like, share, subscribe, comment below, click the notification bell. And with that, AWO presents latest SmackDown. It is out. Take care, guys.